And, of course, we also watched AEW Dynamite New Year's Smash, Night 1, January 6th, 2020. We open with the Young Bucks and SCU versus the Acclaimed and Hybrid 2. The Acclaimed do their battle rap. They reference John Cena, Marty Jannetty, and Snoop Dogg, who, of course, is in this building. So this was basically a Young Bucks match with 8 dudes instead of 4. I started writing down heat on so-and-so, so-and-so hot tag.
Why bother?
So-and-so. Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
I went back and erased a paragraph. They do stuff like this. There's swings of momentum and flows in the match, but there's 50 of them. So you don't... The main story is everyone did a lot of cool shit.
All you need to know is it was all action.
Yes.
And it was a lot of fun.
That's all. Yes.
You're not going to get like a... I mean, I shouldn't say you're not going to get a story because one of the best, probably the best tag team story I ever saw involved the Young Bucks. Mm-hmm. But like to try to write down everything that happens,
yes,
it's a waste of time.
Yes.
You have to write down what's important. And what is important here, and this is an update from yesterday, is that Jack went for a 630 and Nick got the knees up and Jack just crushed his legs and Nick thought he broke his leg. Legs killing him.
Yeah.
So they keep going. And the only reason that I knew that something wasn't quite right is they set up for the Meltzer driver at the end. And Nick jumps up onto the top rope. And he just stands there. Forever. It felt like an eternity to me. And so all I could think was, somebody must have forgotten to break up the Meltzer driver. Because he stands there forever, and then he just jumps down, turns around, and then does a springboard senton onto the pile outside. So, what apparently actually happened was, when he jumped up to do the Meltzer driver, he was actually going to jump up and then moonsault onto the pile instead of doing the Meltzer driver.
Yes.
But his leg hurt so bad that he jumped up there and, he couldn't get his balance.
Right.
Even though he balanced there for 5 seconds. There was a different balance needed to go backwards.
Yes.
So he jumped down and then turned around and did the senton to the outside, which actually, if he thought he broke his leg, if he would have done a moonsault, he would have mostly landed on his feet.
Yeah.
But by doing the senton, he actually mostly was caught.
Yes.
So it actually worked out better.
Yes.
So he went back and they looked over his leg and everything like that. And you can even see at the end of the show when the Young Bucks do the run-in, they do the big double super kick spot at the end, except Nick just stands there. He doesn't do a super kick.
That did happen.
Because his leg hurt so bad, he couldn't even do a super kick at this point. So I guess they examined him again today, and it is not a broken leg. But it's like a deep bruise or whatever.
A contusion, I heard.
Apparently he'll be okay, but that was the whole story of this match. This guy thought he broke his leg and then wrestled for 5 more minutes afterwards, and you never would have known.
And look great, yes.
Yes.
Yes, Nick's amazing. So I had heard before I watched the show that Nick suffered a leg contusion, which I knew sucks, but there's many worse injuries you could have. So I wasn't that worried about it, but it fit right into the story of the match because as chaotic and fun and action-packed as this was, there was a story here, which is that every time the heel teams tried to work together, it didn't go well. Caster would try to do a double team move with Jack Evans and would fuck up and they go bonk into each other because they're heels. But then Chris Daniels and Matt Jackson would try to do a move and it would go perfectly smooth. This happened 3 or 4 times throughout the match. And in the finish, Nick is going for the Meltzer driver, dives out to everyone on the floor instead, and so Daniels does the best Meltzer ever with Matt, and they pin whoever it was. A very simple, easy story to go with all the action. So a very, very, very good opener.
It is amazing how they can tell a great story in the middle of a match with just a billion moves.
They're very good at what they do. I mean, they're
very good at their job.
Yes. It's breaking news here in 2021. The tag team that got essentially the entire company to start and build around them is good at what they do. So, SCU does a promo afterwards, let us know. They informed us of a storyline on Dark, which is nice. He and Chris Daniels have been teaming for a long, long time, and they have agreed together the next time they lose as a team, they are done as a team forever. And they want the Young Bucks to know they have their back anytime they're needed, except when they get a tag title shot, because they don't just want the AEW tag team titles. They want to beat the best. And the Bucks shake their hands. And the announcers are talking about how great this is. We're all about sportsmanship, right, Jericho? And Jericho just screams, "You're damn right I am!" I was laughing my ass off at Jericho throughout the show, including they start to run down the matches, and he's just barking things at random points. Hikaru Shida versus Abadon. She's terrifying! Snoop Dogg is here. Yes! Laughing my ass off. So tonight on
You seem to have very
Dynamite.
mixed feelings about this Snoop Dogg.
Me?
No.
Oh, Jericho.
Jericho. He loved the guy, but he also acknowledged that he was great at everything, and it pissed him off.
He's a fickle man, this Chris Jericho. So it's Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix. Hikaru Shida versus Abadon. Snoop Dogg is here with a monster truck. Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal. Sting is live. Jake Hager versus Wardlow. And the Darby Allin Brian Cage weigh-in. And the return of Jon Moxley. Yeah. So Moxley comes out for a promo. It is, of course, a very good promo. He just explains where he's from. Life isn't fair. Bitching and moaning is a waste of time. Sometimes in this sport, you are on the bad end of a bad deal. You have to stare down that adversity and not back down an inch. And he has a zero-tolerance policy for shitty people, he says. His response, the appropriate response, would be to find Kenny Omega and Don Callis and beat them to a bloody pulp with a crowbar. But he is not going to screw Rey Fenix out of his title shots. This shot Rey Fenix is scratched and clawed for the right way. He deserves it. But he warns Kenny Omega, "You are not safe. I am in your blind spot. You're going to learn you screwed with the wrong guy."
Zero tolerance for stupid people. This is my brother.
He would fit right in with us, yeah. Dasha interviews Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. She asks, "How is Trent?" And they say, "Trent has torn his pec. He is going to be out for 4 to 5 months." And Miro interrupts to say, "Well, that sucks, because that means you're out for 4 to 5 months. Because if Trent's on the shelf, then you're on the shelf, because Trent's the leader of your team. But you can be my best friend if you do my laundry and wash my car." And Chuck says, "I've been to Japan. I'm not going to be your young boy. I'll fight you next week." And Miro says, "All right, but if I beat you next week, you have to be my young boy until the Kip Sabian-Penelope Ford wedding." And Chuck foolishly agrees. I don't think this is going to go well for Chuck Taylor.
Well, it's funny because you can look at it two ways. Yes, it was probably foolish to do that. But at the same time, if he loses, he's infiltrating all wedding planning.
Ah, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
You are playing chess while I am playing checkers.
Yes, exactly.
This is galaxy brain planning.
I'm sure Chuck Taylor thought the same thing. If I beat this guy, great. If I don't, I'm going to fuck him. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Figuratively.
Right. I was going to leave it alone. Jake Hager versus Wardlow. Wardlow does a promo. "If Hager's got a problem with me taking care of my family, I know the inner circle's my family. I can take care of both. But if you want to fight, I'll bring you a war." It was a very green promo. Then he went out and had a very green match. First half especially. It was very clunky and very sloppy, even more you would think. First half of it was basically Wardlow trying to wrestle like Hager. He's trying to do kickboxing. He's trying to do grappling. It did not go very well. Second half was much better. They just did pro wrestling, which is what Wardlow can do. So they're fighting on the top rope, and Hager, for some reason, is going for his head and arm choke on the ropes. But Wardlow drops down next to him on the ropes, and then hits an F10 and pins him. And this was an even better example than the Karrion Kross Damian Priest match on NXT. That was like a 16-minute match that should have gone 10. This was a 10-minute match that would have been much better, like 3 or 4. So Hager is very upset at the loss.
I thought the match was okay. I didn't think it was great. Hager seemed to have a hell of a time hitting the ropes this evening. And I don't know if it was because he's out of practice or if Wardlow's green and so in his brain he thought, I got to do everything a little bit slower. I don't know what it was, but His rope running was not smooth. Wardlow's green. But, I mean, I didn't think it was a bad match.
No,
I just think that, I mean, it could obviously have been better, but it wasn't a disaster. No. They got through everything.
If it's a disaster, Brian, I will let you know.
I did not see any terribly botched spots. In fact, I can't even think of any botched spots.
There's no botched spots.
It just wasn't pretty.
No.
And that's not what I was expecting out of the match, so maybe that was the problem.
You're expecting a train wreck?
I wasn't expecting a train wreck, but I was not expecting, like, Jay White and Ibushi. I was expecting two big hosses running into each other. And I got it.
All right, then. So Jake Hager is very upset, but is able to regain his composure, congratulate Wardlow on his win. So the inner circle is still all on the same page. Private Party is backstage. They got the gin, and Snoop Dogg shows up with the juice. And before the party can begin, Matt Hardy arrives. He has contracts with Private Party. He is going to make them stars, going to make them kings in this business. Yes, he admits 30% is a hefty fee, but it'll pay off in spades. And Private Party does have some requests they have written down for Matt. He looks them over, assures them this is all in the contract, points out to where they are, adds they can still do third-party apps, Cameo, Twitch, that's all theirs. He's not a monster. And they sign, and he promises to get these to a lawyer and see them at dinner. The whole time, Snoop's just standing there. Because they had the idea, because Private Party's finisher is the gin and juice. We'll do a gin and juice joke with Snoop, and then have Matt Hardy come in and continue the storyline, and Snoop's just there. He doesn't go to dinner with him. He's just standing there.
Yeah, I got to say that if I was some young, early 20s bloke out there doing indies, and next thing you know, I'm doing nationally televised tag team matches with Matt Hardy, and all I got to do is give him 30%, I'm in, bro. It's a deal.
It's a deal. Jericho said it was a deal. It was a better deal than Matt Hardy got from George South.
Probably true.
Probably is.
We don't know how long this contract is for, though. I mean, if they still owe money in 30 years,
an issue.
We'll talk, yeah.
So it's time for the Brian Cage, Darby Allin weigh-in.
Now, I should ridicule the idea that they had a weigh-in for a fight with no weight limits, okay? But I would be a hypocrite because you and I had a weigh-in.
That's true.
For a match with no weight limits.
We did.
Where I cut weight and then got on the scale with a wrench in my trousers. That's the fucking dumbest thing ever in the history of wrestling.
That didn't make any sense.
And I didn't even think about it till later.
You just thought it'd be a funny visual gag.
I cut weight and then put something in my pants?
You're still confusing yourself.
Fuck.
Decades later, you're thinking about this.
Yes.
Now. So I'm thinking about this, like,
quite frankly, Darby should have put something in his pants when he weighed at 170, and the other guy's 272.
So Brian Cage is the FTW champion, and it's been 6 months now, 8 months, and I still don't know why. I don't know what it accomplished. He's never defended it. He just carries it around. It's just extra luggage weight. And then it occurred to me, I don't think Darby's defended his TNT title either. He won it and has done nothing. Like, the best thing about this TNT title is when Cody had it and was having great matches every week against new faces and just fun, fresh matchups. Darby won it, took it to the rafters, and hid. What a waste of the TNT title this has been. So finally, after maybe a 2-year title reign, he's going to defend it against Brian Cage. A new TNT title
2 years?
Belt.
He won it in December.
I'm exaggerating, but he hasn't done anything since. He should be defending it by now. Yes, that's the point I make. That's the point I'm trying to make. So they're showing off the TNT title belt. They didn't do a very good job. But the old belt, of course, was retired at the hands of Brody Lee Jr., so they have a new belt. I still don't really know what it looks like. They didn't show it very well. But then I'm watching these guys. There's 2 belts which aren't worth much. And I mentioned the grizzled young veterans in suits and how some guys shouldn't wear suits. You know who should be in a suit all the time? Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs looks so great in his suit. This blue suit with like a pink shirt and nice shoes. He looked awesome. So Darby gets in the ring, and to say he is wearing street clothes was not doing... He may as well have like a football uniform on. He's got like chains everywhere, this jacket with spikes. He weighs 170, and Taz points out he's wearing all this stuff, how stupid this all is. And they jabber for a while, and I guess they're about to fight when Sting comes out, and I feel like I have seen this exact same segment 16 times now. Some guys are going to fight. Sting comes out. Nobody fights. Nothing happens. Rinse, wash, repeat. We'll do it all again next week.
We need this to move on.
Desperately.
It's gotten very repetitive. I got it. Darby's there. Bad guys. Sting shows up. Looks at them.
Yes.
They go away. Like 5 straight weeks now.
Yes.
But I presume that next week, because they're having the title match, like we're going to get some sort of story. I think it's going to come out that Sting is his father.
Join me, Darby. I am your father. MJF brings a camera crew with him to try to console Jake Hager. Jake is very upset about his loss. He's smashing the door to the building, and MJF calms him down.
Excuse me,
you got to keep your head up.
What's a door?
Door.
Okay, thank
I
you.
meant to say door because I'm awkward. It comes out as
remember you used to say Thork, which also starts with a Thor.
I really stress the D in dork, so it comes out as Thork.
Yes.
Yeah, you hate it.
It irritated me.
Well, I'd hate to have that happen.
That is not as irritating as when Tom calls it a wheelbarrow. That's my real pet peeve.
That would drive me nuts.
I think
too.
he does it on purpose to irritate me.
I'm sure he does. What kind of person would use words like wheelbarrow and bloke on purpose to irritate people?
Get out of here.
So MJF brings a camera crew with him to record Jake Hager. Jake is pounding on the door, but MJF is able to cool him down and say, listen, keep your head up. You're a great athlete. You were undefeated in the octagon. Things didn't go your way tonight, but you need to be proud of yourself. And Hager says, listen, you showed up here, got in my face. I see you're very into this segment.
I am. It's been a long week.
It has. Hager says, you almost got dropped, but you're cool. Thank you for checking on me, but you got to go. And MJF leaves and backs off, and Hager goes back to his rage fest. And this stuff with MJF going out of his way to ingratiate himself
Yes.
with the circle guys, it's so good. It's so good.
Simple, basic storytelling works every single time. Name the last simple, basic storyline that didn't work.
I can't think of one.
Because it always works, Vinny. That was a trick question.
Ah, damn it.
If it didn't work, it was too complicated.
We get clips of -1 cutting a promo on Marco's stunt on Dark. I wanted to see this whole thing. They only showed the clips. But -1 points out Marco only ever wins because he's got a bigger person to fight for him. And so Alex Marvez is interviewing Jurassic Express, including Marco's stunt. And Marco is ranting about how they are on a quest for the tag titles. When FTR interrupts, you say, we're on a quest. What's this we? You don't do anything. You're a glorified mascot. You're useless. He threatens to kick their ass, challenges them to face himself and Jungle Boy next week in a tag team match, and they accept. Matt Sydal versus Cody Rhodes. So Snoop, of course, is a co-host of Cody Rhodes in the Go Big show. And so they said, hey, Snoop, do us a favor. Help us out with Cody's theme song. And so he got a beat and did a verse, and it has nothing else to do with Cody's song. It's not over the same melody or even the same rhythm. There's his song starts, and then you turn the channel on the radio, and Snoop's song starts. And then when he's done, you turn it back, and Cody's theme goes again. It's pretty ghetto. So I was watching this on Thursday, of course, the day after it aired. And so, of course, I knew that Snoop Dogg hit somebody with a frog splash. I couldn't even tell who it was. So when they started doing this match...
Splash.
Well, okay, I'm generous.
Come on, buddy.
He hit him with a thing. He jumped off the top rope with a thing.
That's not described as a down dog.
No, that's not accurate at all. That's the downward dog as opposed to Dexter Lumis
he did a
does.
dog and he went down. I mean,
he is the dog.
It is very accurate.
I'm not going to tell Snoop Dogg what to call this move. So, but the point being, Cody and Sydal start fighting, and a minute in, Serpentico gets hit. They're fighting outside, and one guy dodges, and Serpentico takes a shot, and Dr. Lou is outraged. And I said, well, that's us at the finish. And had I been watching live and not know what happened, maybe I would have cared more. But as soon as they did that interference spot, I knew it was just going to lead to Snoop getting involved, and I didn't care about anything that happened in the middle. So they did some stuff. They worked really hard. A lot of things happened. And then Cody hit 2 crossroads in 1. So, of course, afterwards, he is jumped by Serpentico and Luther. Why they didn't save Serpentico getting hit until the very end, I don't know. But they lay Serpentico out, and Snoop Dogg goes to the top, and as I wrote here, hits the worst splash you ever saw.
So, I know, apparently, I post things on Twitter, but, like, I try very hard not to read wrestling Twitter. But I could not help but notice that, like, apparently there were people very, very upset, and they were mad at Serpentico, and I can't believe you took that move. I'm like, fuck, dude, get a life, you geeks. Who gives a fuck?
This was the highlight of Serpentico's career.
No disrespect to Serpentico, but the guy's had one match on AEW Dynamite in his fucking career.
And it was bad.
It's not like they took, Nick Jackson or whoever, Hikaru Shida, or like somebody who's a star, and had some guy from a game show jump off the fucking top rope and squish him. It's Serpentico. Like, God bless the guy, but it's probably did more for Serpentico than anything, quite frankly.
I'm honest, I'm not exaggerating. This was the highlight of Serpentico's career.
How can you watch professional wrestling as like a rational person and not enjoy just a little bit of fun here and there? You got Snoop fucking Dogg, the most charismatic guy on this show by about 10.
Well,
he comes on here, and he's all Snoop, and he gives Serpentico a big splash, and Cody counts the pin, and everybody loves it, and most importantly, the fucking network that's paying you all this money, they're happy. Like, dude, why is this a fucking problem with anybody? I liked it. I wish we had Snoop on this show every week. He brought life to this show.
Snoop.
I still can't believe that he's Mr. Americana now, but like he is.
It's very strange.
So like
very
whatever.
Strange, but
he's everyone's grandpa. So like let's fucking use him.
No one has ever been bored by Snoop Dogg.
That's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
I wish he would have done this splash to that fucking Luther.
As revenge?
And then torn his fucking pants off. That's what should have happened.
You're bitter, man.
I got my goddamn pants pulled off in the middle of a fucking battle royal by this guy, Vinny. In front of people. Yes, I am bitter. I will never forget it. I will carry this grudge with me for the rest of my life.
This next match made me irrationally angry, and I will just state for the record before we even get into it.
Oh, now you're all mad about something? Get over it.
I didn't say to get over it, Brian. I just said you're bitter.
You're bitter about this match, it sounds like to me.
It's Abadon versus Hikaru Shida. And Abadon, Brian, it's your favorite, the heel who won't sell anything. She gets hit with a stick in the face. She hits the stick right in the face, it sits right up. They start doing some stuff, and they go to... Abadon goes to drag Hikaru Shida under the ring, and they vanish. And JR says, we got to go to commercial. I'm thinking, are you kidding? You're going to commercial with the champion and her challenger fighting under the ring? This is when you must take a commercial break.
Dude, what better time? You can't even see them. They're under the goddamn ring.
Well, then they change their mind. They say, we're not going to commercial yet. We'll stick with this. So the ref's out there. I don't believe this is announced as a street fight or a falls count anywhere match. If you're out of the ring, start to count. Can you count to 10? It starts with 1 and goes higher from there. He's just there, just bebopping around, thumb up his ass, not doing anything. So Shida comes out from under the ring. Her neck is magically bleeding now, blood everywhere. Like, she has a gaping wound on her neck, right?
I mean, I think the bigger issue with the referee was why didn't he put the gloves on when she came out with blood all over her neck? Why didn't he check? Where's the doctor to check her fucking jugular vein?
Maybe he knew it was fake blood too. So now we go to break with this gaping, sucking wound in Hikaru Shida's chest. Or neck, I should say. And we come back, and we have talked about how this whole angle is Abadon is the Fiend, and Shida is Seth Rollins scared of the Fiend. And how it sucked then, and it sucked now. And so they're trying to do this match, and suddenly Abadon is down on the mat, and she does the Bray Wyatt crab walk spot. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I hate Bray Wyatt. But I'd rather watch Bray Wyatt than a bad knockoff of Bray Wyatt.
Actually,
and that's what Abadon is at this point.
Bray does a significantly better bridge than Abadon.
Well, probably.
Retire this spot.
And then after all this, she's an unbeatable zombie. She sells nothing. You hit her with a stick, she doesn't care. She bites her neck, and you just have to live. Shida just hits her move and pins her anyway. At least she won, and hopefully it's over.
You know, people absolutely hated this match, and so I knew that.
Glad I'm not alone.
And when I watched it, I was like, I mean, it's not good, but, I mean, what do you expect? It's a fucking match with a zombie. I'd prefer if I didn't have to see matches with a zombie. Like, can we have no more zombie matches? I don't want Abadon to lose her job, but I mean, maybe there's a way to tweak this character. The no-selling zombie, it's death in wrestling, okay? It's death. They worked hard. I'm sick of blood. She bit her fucking jugular vein. Bro, that's a DQ, okay? That's it. You can't bite someone's fucking the vein in their neck. And if you do, the referee should put on his goddamn gloves or something. This was too much ha-ha. Not even ha-ha. It was too much baloney for me.
It was too much facepalm.
I didn't facepalm.
Thumbs down for that.
Yes. Baloney.
Next week on Dynamite, they plug like a million things. Darby Allin versus Brian Cage. Chuck Taylor versus Miro. NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb versus Tainara Conti. Then we get a Ty Conti. Apparently I guess she's in the Dark Order now. She's wearing their shirt. She's standing there with them. She's been like a Dark Order member, or maybe she's pledging the Dark Order like a sorority. But anyway, she says she respects Serena. She's coming for the title. She's not coming by herself, and she has all her friends. The Elite will be in action next week. We got the Jurassic Express versus FTR. Pac versus Eddie Kingston. The Inner Circle's New Year's resolutions. And The Waiting Room with Dr. Britt Baker and her host, Cody Rhodes.
Her host or her guest?
Guest. I should say guest. Excuse me. Yeah. Main event. Rey Fenix versus Kenny Omega for the AEW title. This match
was a win.
This match fucking ruled. This was so good.
You know what's amazing about this match is
everything.
Well, you've got like Kenny Omega and Moxley and the Bucks and Pac, and you can just rattle off all of these great workers. The two best matches I've ever seen on AEW television, the common denominator is Phoenix. Because we had that Phoenix versus Nick Jackson singles match.
Oh, yes.
And we've had Phoenix versus Kenny Omega, which, by the way, for a guy who's a tag team wrestler, the two best matches in Dynamite television history involve him doing singles matches.
So it's not just me who thought to himself that was the best match I've ever seen on Dynamite when I watched this match. Okay, good. I thought I may have been a little jumping the gun or a little overzealous. But yes, everyone, this may have been the best match in the history of AEW Dynamite, which just goes out and has great matches every week. So I don't know how many times this match made me gasp or take my breath away as I thought someone had died, but it was actually totally safe, or just plain spectacular.
Except for the German on the neck.
The German,
that was no good.
Phoenix, I can't even describe exactly what he did, but he did a moonsault into a German suplex, which sounds impossible. You have to take my word for it. And yes, Kenny fell like on the back of his neck, and he folded into his nose, folded into his chest. And they showed it from about 18 different angles, including the straight down blimp cam. But even that one was brutal.
Hey, listen, I don't like people landing on their head, okay? But if I did a match on national television and I landed on my head, I mean, once the shit has happened, show 55 replays of it, please.
Yes.
Don't just move on with the match.
Yes. So they're doing a bunch of amazing things. They do have a commercial break, and I listen, God bless everyone on both shows. I don't watch the picture-in-picture during commercial break. I know nothing that important is going to happen. I skip ahead. This time I watched it because I thought they may do something amazing. As it turns out, they did a lot of brawling and chopping. And then as soon as the commercial was over, it was back to big-ass giant moves. And the V-trigger where Phoenix bumps to his back, but then kips up, does a hook kick, and then goes down into a double down. All the announcers are screaming about how great this is. Kenny goes to the one-winged angel, and Phoenix turns it into a Rana onto his head, and everyone's screaming at that. So Phoenix goes for a Fire Thunder driver, which is basically the Rikishi driver. You got the guy over your shoulder like a power slam, you sit on your ass and drop him on his head. And he gets him up there, and before he sits down with it, he does a knee strike to the face and then drops him on the head. And Chris Irvine, not Chris Jericho, Chris Irvine says, that knee to the face is my favorite move of the whole match. I'm not even kidding. Absolutely meant that. And then the finish, Phoenix tries something off the top rope. We'll never know.
Frog splash.
Sure. But Omega catches him in a double underhook position, which is like impossible to do. You have no leverage. But he catches him like that, does the double underhook pile driver, hits another V trigger, that gets 2, and so he hits a one-winged angel to finish him off. This was just great. All the action was unbelievably great. Phoenix can do a lot of things that no other wrestler I've ever seen can do, full stop. And he always makes it look awesome. Like, when was the last time Phoenix had a sloppy match? Ever? Has it ever happened? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, he's had sloppy matches where he knocked himself out and then
that qualifies.
It fell apart. He had that with his brother. So there was that one a few months ago.
Right. So, yes. Okay.
And actually, that match there, that Phoenix-Pentagon match until Phoenix got hurt, that was on its way to being one of the greatest matches in Dynamite history. But then he landed on his head, and it was all downhill from there. So this guy's one of the greatest in the entire world. He's absolutely fantastic. And, yes, this match was so good. I knew it was going to be good, but it was like 10 times better than I expected. I don't even know why I didn't expect it to be this good. I mean, I should have known, but...
It's Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix.
Well, I did just get watched... I watched 2 nights at the Tokyo Dome, and, I knew that Balor and Kyle O'Reilly was going to be great because I already saw them do the match. But you know what my downfall was? I actually know exactly why. Because whatever you want to say about Dynamite, positive or negative, one thing that I've noticed is it's a very, very patterned show. It's the exact same show every week. And so the main event, when they start doing here's what's coming up next week, it's almost always at 40 minutes after the top of the hour. And the main event goes into the ring at like 43 minutes. Like
yes.
99.99%. If they've had 100 episodes, however many episodes they've had, 70, like 69 times, it's been this exact same pattern. So I figured that this match was going to go into the ring at the 43-minute mark. They'd go 5 minutes and have a commercial. They would come back at the 52-minute mark or whatever, and they'd go off the air exactly at the top of the hour. They didn't. They started very, very early. They were in the ring at the 30-minute mark.
Yes.
So they revamped the entire show to give enough time for these guys to have an awesome match and do a long post-match angle. So the last half hour of the show was beyond fantastic. Between this and the angle we're going to talk about, this was one of the best half hours ever on this show.
Yeah. So, if you didn't see this match, you've listened to our passionate review, I think, about how great it was. You understand how great it was physically, athletically, and that kind of thing. Let's not sell short. There is a story going on here too. There's characters going on here because Kenny Omega was making, I think it's his first title defense on Dynamite, but still a new champion. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's very, very arrogant, and he pays for his arrogance many times. It keeps cutting him off. And Phoenix, if you go back and count, I bet Phoenix got like 80% of the near falls in this match. They gave him everything, and the champion was on the ropes. But in the end, he survived and had a good, clean, definitive win because the AEW World Champion is the best wrestler in the world. And that's the story. And on this show, he was. And it ends, and Jim Ross notes, and he said this, and I don't think it was a criticism, but it sounded like a way to acknowledge cranky, old-school wrestling fans who think wrestling is the only one way to do this. But he just says, that was a uniquely structured matchup, pro wrestling in 2021. And he's not wrong about that. Not wrong. So Don Callis gets in the ring. And I should add, they went close to a half hour. This angle, so it's 20-some minutes. But I don't think either guy broke a sweat. And it was also 50 degrees. That probably helped, too. But Don Callis cuts a promo, says it's time to end somebody's career. And he go to the back where Eddie Kingston and his crew have attacked Pac and Penta El Zero M. So Phoenix has no help now. And he's down in the corner. He's just taking this one-winged angel. He's done. And Callis orders Kenny to end Omega's career. But Moxley comes out with his barbed wire bat to save. He attacks Kenny's arms gets all bloody. But then the Good Brothers make their Dynamite debut. It's an Impact trap, Jericho screams. And it's Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and they're all beating up Moxley for a long time. Finally, the Varsity Blondes and various other C and D teamers I couldn't even recognize, they all hit the ring. They all get killed. Everyone who's there to get hit with a barbed wire bat is conveniently wearing all sorts of armor. Good idea. Finally, the Young Bucks run out, who of course teamed with these men for many years in Japan. They're trying to talk sense to everyone. In the middle of this, Griff Garrison and somebody, probably Pillman Jr. Pillman Jr., yeah. They lay hands on, I think it was Omega, and the Bucks they're going to stank by their friend Omega, so they kick these dudes in the face. And Omega and the Good Brothers want a too sweet, and the Bucks are reluctant, but damn it, they got history, and they all pose together. But the Bucks are conflicted because these guys are their friends, but they're also being kind of dicks, and these guys don't work there, and they're EVPs. They got to watch out for their own show. A lot going on in this angle. A lot of places they could go with it.
It's very, very interesting. I'm trying to figure out how this is all going to work because obviously you've got AEW and you've got Impact. We're doing some sort of invasion, and obviously there's going to be politics.
Yeah.
So if you look at the match they have scheduled for the Impact pay-per-view, there is an Impact guy on Omega's team. Well, the Good Brothers are both Impact guys, and they're facing other Impact wrestlers. So an Impact guy can pin an Impact guy. You don't have an AEW guy pinning an Impact guy and vice versa.
Right.
So Good Brothers show up. I mean, everybody would seemingly want a Young Bucks versus Good Brothers match. Young Bucks are the champions. And, of course, Gallows and Anderson. So, well, who would win? Well, now we don't worry about that at the moment because now they're teaming up together. So, I don't know where this is all going. I don't know if the Bucks are turning heel. I don't know what's going on. But when the show was over, I was greatly intrigued. And they do the too sweet. They're showing up next week. It's a very, very interesting storyline. And it's 1,000 times better than anything we're watching in the WWF Invasion. It's amazing that we're watching
oh my God.
both of these invasions at the same time.
Yes.
So yeah, I like this. Thought it was awesome. Awesome closing angle. Awesome match. Awesome final half hour. I mean, it's time to vote after that, Vinny.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what. I was talking to my buddy Sean, who started watching these shows every week, and I just said, it's funny how it works out. Usually, the best match or the best segment, more often than not, is on NXT, but AEW is usually the better show, top to bottom. This week was the opposite. The best thing was Kenny Omega and Rey Fenix. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. But I didn't like the middle portion of this show so much. It was not didn't do much for me. And I'm just gonna say, it's been a week. It has been a week. Both these companies went out and gave me a chance to just mindlessly watch some wrestling for a while, and I appreciate that. And so with that in mind, I'm just going to vote for a tie.
Well, I thought that the best thing by far was the last half hour of AEW. It's not even close. Between the match and the angle, it was just fantastic. But man, there was a lot of very, very good wrestling. A lot of very, very hard work on that NXT show. The women's match was great. The main event was great. Neither as great as Rey Fenix and Kenny Omega, but great. And there were great things on the AEW show too besides the main event. I mean, the opener, I thought
was awesome.
Tons and tons of fun.
Opener was awesome.
I mean, there were good interviews. I as well, Vinny, am voting for a tie.
Okay, there we go. 2021, the Wednesday Night War is off to a hot start.
Yeah.
No advantage. No advantage.
Yeah. Well, the first week of the new year is always hot for everybody. It was like this last year. It's like that this year. The Raw number was way up. You throw these numbers out. I mean, if there had not been everything that went down yesterday, these both would have probably done very, very good numbers. But shit happens. And boy, was it shit.
Shit did happen.
And I'm sure tomorrow SmackDown's probably going to do pretty well as well. Unless more shit happens, which could happen at any time. Mm-hmm. Always be prepared for shit happening, everybody.